Alright everybody, it's our Klaus here, and today I want to jump right in, connecting Erykah Badu with all of the information I presented over the last set of videos here, discussing everything from Sade to Beyonce and her world formation tour, and what they have in common towards seemingly indicating a very high-profile assassination, very similar to that of JFK, to take place in the not-too-distant future here, and of course possibly in accordance with some other very catastrophic events as well. So if you haven't seen those videos, be sure to check them out when you have a chance, as they do lay out the whole foundation for what it is that I am presenting here and the compelling argument I feel that I have made up until this point. And so from there, again, as well, they familiarize you with occult research if you're not, because I want you to understand as much of this as possible. But so with all of that being said, I'm going to jump right in here, because with Erykah Badu as our centerpiece today, we have a tremendous amount of ground, is an understatement to say the least. So for those of you familiar with her, it should be no surprise to hear that sort of sentiment, because she is very openly occultish, everything from her lyrics in her songs to the actual symbols and images that are closely associated with her and her albums, as well as live performances, which we will talk more about later. So take a look here. This is her obviously just main page here, baseline information with the full name Erykah Abby Wright. Notice the variant on it there, with the Y instead of the I, and so the stage name then Erykah Badu. We're going to talk about all of that, her birthday, her age, those important things. I do want to note it's very interesting, and I'm going to do a whole separate video on this actually when I have some time later. But yesterday when I was doing the bulk of this research, trailer came out for a new movie that she's going to be in, and so a lot of information still coming out on it, but I am going to take the time to do something on it later, because I do think it is very compelling as far as what it has to offer towards understanding what may be lying in the horizon here. And so what I want to focus on today, though, is the song Window Seat. Let me scroll towards the top there for you, and the music video that accompanies not only the original song but also the remix, the part 2 featuring Rick Ross. And so we're going to talk a lot about all of the symbolism therein. But so take a look here for those of you not familiar. The music video, the original one, features Badu walking the streets of Dealey Plaza before being shot by an unseen assassin. Alright, so a direct mirror there to JFK's assassination, and so met with a lot of controversy among fans and critics. And considering that before I've talked about this, I have formed a very strong baseline discussing a very high-profile entertainer being assassinated and likening it to JFK's assassination over and over again. This is just really bold-faced at this point, between the connections that they are trying to make. Now, a lot to be said here, again, with her dying at the end of the video. She is currently 45 years old. Notice the length of the song is 4 minutes, 50 seconds. Giving us the reference to 45 there as well. Now, all over the front of this, there are ways that we can break this down, and I'm going to get into them more later on throughout the video. But I do want you to see this one here, this 26F being the 6th letter, so 266, because that is the same Jewish value as Bring Me Home. Again, the baseline for that Sade video, and the similarity it has there with Rose Bowl as well, with that symbol of 109, which we'll talk about in relation to Badu's birth, which you can see on the left side of your screen as well. But for a moment, look at that 266 and notice it is also the same simple value as Representative Pete Sessions, the Republican from Texas, who introduced the bill into Congress to protect magic as a national treasure. Okay, remember, he is in his 19th year of Congress. That sun card, all of that reference there. And again, look at his coding: the Law of Thelema, Water Bearer, Blood Shower, what is that? Source of all evil, okay? The simple value there, all of that, you notice 1596 is the number of days between JFK and MLK's assassination. So I'm going to talk about that a little more later on as well. But so with that as our baseline there, very fascinating again. But so now pop over to the left side of the screen and see when we reduce her birth date, February 26, 1971. The February 26 gives us 2 and 8 there, and so from the reduction we have either the number 10 or 1. And remember, we just went through this with some other coding where the year reduces to 9. So again, we have that 109 or 19. Again, the sun card as I just referenced there, but the 109th day of this year being the day that Hillary also had that hot sauce gimmick on the radio, the direct reference to Beyonce's Formation song, and as well here seeing the simple value being the same as Rose Bowl. Again, look at the coding up there up top when we really break down Rose Bowl, okay? And so what I want you to see is just the importance of that number again and again. And as I stated, Badu is currently 45, and that is the length of window seat. All right, so there you have that age for her there. But now let's keep moving here because it's very interesting to consider as well that when we look at her coding, the Jewish value is 711. And I want to bring this up again in conjunction with this cover very quickly because on the front of this, as I was saying, just laced with coding here, but this 11 P, the 16th letter, reduces down to 7, so you have an inverted 711 there. And of course, if we multiplied that with the 11 times 7, we would get 77. And so now take a look here for MLK and JFK's initials here. They both reduce down to 77, and that's very interesting to me for a whole slew of reasons. But again here, notice for the actual written out words of 77, the English and simple values give us this 121 reference over here, and that happens to be the same as Erykah Wright again, which would be her birth name there, and so that 55 from her name, very interesting. But take a look here though, because that simple value is also the same as Antichrist, Let It Burn, and what I'll discuss in that other video I'll do soon, Live the Hype, from the trailer for her new movie here. But all of those connections there, you do see reference to blood sacrifice as well as the Great Seal, Second Coming, so on and so forth. But those direct references and connections with that 77 there are fascinating. But so now to get back up top here for Erykah Badu, so you can see how it's fully connected. Notice as well the English and simples are the same as Love Gun, again, which I talked about immensely in the Family Guy video, and the connection to it airing on December 21st, 2001, that 333. And again, something very interesting because this album, New America Part 2, in which Window Seat is featured, came out on March 30th, 2010, another date which happens to reduce down to 333. And so since I paid so much attention to that Family Guy episode, I thought it'd be interesting to see the amount of time in between those two dates now I've looked into with that reduction to 333, and notice in between them is 3,022 days. All right, dropping that down there, 322, that very important skull and bones number, as well as an inverted 138, which you see very clearly down below. We'll talk about with more connections to this Misfits Bullet album a little later on today, but notice down there the We Are 138 and the connections I've shown you, but we'll talk about that more later. And if you haven't seen it, I did in my Ride Johnny Ride video expand on that immensely. But so quickly here with the Love Gun cover, again, remember talking about it, there are 15 people on here total. The Devil Tarot card is that number. And again, there are 11 women down here, and representing the Lust card, the Babylon card, very evident here with the whole iconography that they stand for, okay? And again, the 4 up here, the sun, the warship, the gateway, all of that, all right? So So very important. And you do see, of course, Freemason, the 11, as well as MK Ultra and Book of Life. All right, so keep moving here. Notice for Erykah Wright and for all of the coding for Erykah Badu, really, in the various forms of her names, you do get references to the Book of the Law. It's a very important recurring theme there. You do also see the purpose of a Large Hadron Collider. There's reference to that in the movie that she'll be in here. You do see John Kennedy, the Wrath, as well as One World Bank. Remember all of the Club of Rome information that I talked about in that Ride Johnny Ride video. So again, we already went over the English and Simples here for Erykah Wright, their connections with 77, Antichrist, so on and so forth. Remember, Let It Burn was from that Boondocks episode, connecting everything with LaShawn Thomas and Sade. Very fascinating stuff. So again, take a look through here. You can see all those values there, Dallas, Texas, where Erykah Badu is from. And so I'll just pull up for you Fear of the Dark so you can see, because the record label for that, and again, just the coding for it is very important, but does share the same English value as where she is from. And again, looking at the breakdown for Dallas, Texas, you can reduce it down to 66. Now, I was going to talk about 5% Nation, but I'm going to just kind of gloss over that. Look into it if you want. It is kind of interesting. The just kind of faith system, spirituality, beliefs, whatever philosophy that she embraces and advocates for throughout. But I want to get to this other information here before too long. And again, for Erykah, Abby right there, pause and look through all of this here because it's very interesting, but do take notice of the number 165 that is spelled out, because that does come up in the when we change the I to a Y for Erykah Abby Wright. And let's take a closer look at that one, okay, because it is very interesting. Again, 165 is the simple value for it. But before we get there, look at this Jewish value for her full name, as she would have for stage. You see Beyonce Knowles, all right, as well as Babylon Mystery, Moon Civilization, and thus Babylon shall sink and not rise, okay? And so for that 165 value down below, it is the same as the formula for Tetragrammaton, and so very interesting there. Absolutely. You see United Nations 22, again, the immense importance of that number and everything I've talked about with that one in the past. Again, you do see this 99, very important right there. Now, so take a look at all of this right here. It is more information that I covered towards the beginning there. This is the actual release date for the single itself, not the music video. So for the music video, which is what I want to start talking about now, you'll notice it was released March 27th, 2010. Okay, so we reduced that date down, gives us 39, an inverted 93. Remember that master thelemic number. And so if we were to reduce that down, we get 12, and then going down to 3 next to the year 2010, it's another 3. Okay, so that 33, you're going to see how she veils these everywhere. And she made it a point to release it at 3:33 a.m. All right, and so now let's jump right into the coding for Windows C. And notice the first thing that comes up is 36th triangular number there. And so I do want you to see the link I have for that, because I mean, there's a really great website to look into for all these veiled things. But you'll notice that is absolutely the 666 there in that very coded reference. So great stuff. You see Institution of Slavery, as well as NASA is lying about the planetary order. I think that's very interesting to come up. And you also see the English and simple values for it are the same as Badu's full birth name and Sandra Bullock. Remember all the gravity connections I put forward. So look down below again, those references to Book of the Law, Solve Coagula, again, dissolution and coagulation, the hidden theme of the Lover's Tarot card, as well as what is written on the goat of Mindy's arms. All right, remember all of the information I've talked about, connecting that to the enthroned Washington statue in the number 22. Okay, so keep going here. For James Poyser, whatever, that is the actual producer for this song here, and he's gets writer's credit as well there. So take a look at that, and then take a look at his coding here. Up top, you see reference to earthquakes in Southern California, the full written out version of FEMA, as well as following orders and congregation of evildoers. Okay, now take a look down below here. The English and simple values. Now these are the same as Mike Will Made It. Remember, that is the producer for Formation, so that should be blowing your mind right now. And remember, that song is 3 minutes 26 seconds long, 326, the number day JFK was assassinated. Go watch those videos, they're really great. You also see Judas Be My Guide. Remember, that is a song off of this Fear of the Dark album, which is over on the right side still here. And George Clooney, the other star of Gravity. You saw Sandra Bullock up top there, and Tex W. Mars. This is just a huge piece of this puzzle here, but remember, I talked about Tex in the video I did on the Simpsons episodes, the Homerland, all of that, but Project Lucid, so definitely something to check out there. Very interesting to see when he comes up, to say the least. But so jumping back here, look at that, you got my name popping up. Again, all of the things I've talked about with that coding, but so keep moving here, and I want you to see Universal Motown. Again, pause, look through here, and I'm going to come back to this English and simple value of 1326 and 221. You see I have it listed the same there as a recent Simpsons episode I looked into that was very important, as well as the World Heart Federation. But so take a look up top here. I want you to see this phrase, the devil lives inside the ice house, because I'm going to bring that up later. You also see killing occultists is the greatest act of love. Again, see this concept that's kind of typed out there, but let's keep moving here. I'm going to skip through all of this. This America Airlines, again, pause and look through that right there because it is interesting. But I want to keep moving so I can get all of these connections in here. And, you know, with Cody Rock up there, again, I'll come back to it later if I have time. But I want to get into the actual video stuff here. So let's take a look at Inspired by Matt and Kim. And so if I can pull up my images for you here, you can see that is the very first bit that starts out this music video. And I want you to see the coding for that because you have reference to murdered JFK again. Just seeing that that's a centerpiece here is very significant that comes up. You also see the divine light. Remember, it says inspired by Matt and Kim, and you see the divine light, a high vibration, the beast out of the earth, the love realm, as well as fire from above. Now look down below because you see reference to Illuminati bloodlines, as well as truth behind the scenes and reveal the hidden truth. That phrase Antichrist calculator is also very interesting as well, considering how much that has come up throughout the research I presented you here. Alright, so now take a look at this next bit, a story by Erykah Badu, and you see that comes out not only in the beginning of the first video but also in the part 2 remix featuring Rick Ross. But so if we look at that hidden phrasing for that, then there, take a look down below. I want you to see here we have a repeat of that number 1326 221, and again, same as Universal Motown, as well as Erykah Badu Boarding Pass, that's going to the cover of Window Seat, and World Heart Federation. Remember, Universal Motown is the label that put this out, so you do see reference to the Bavarian Illuminati, 322, as well as Beyond the Five Senses, Global Hyperinflation. These references to the Triple Eight, Second War of Independence, Invisible Illuminati, and the Holy Archangel of Death. It's a heavy-hitting set of numbers, and it is insane because they do come up time and again for this, alright? And so now, for those of you who haven't seen the video, again, as I said earlier, she's walking through Dealey Plaza, slowly stripping down the layers as she goes. Again, the superficial symbolism of being about character assassination, the more a entertainer reveals about themselves here, the very clever 9 walking past, and so evolving, obviously, the massive tattoo scrolling across her back there. And if you were to look into the coding, you do see a reference to the phrase center of the universe, which is very interesting, as well as deep underground military base, something I've talked about a lot in the past. You notice the English and simple values are the same as divine plan, nuclear bomb, and double agent. Again, we've talked about a lot of these concepts, and I do want you to see that it does have snuff film coded in there, and considering that we're watching a guerrilla style low budget video of somebody being executed, it's a very perfect fit for that phrase. Alright, just short of the gratuitous sex scene. Now take a look down below here, because I want you to see in the video, again, the moon, notice the moon there on her arm. She has them on both arms. But when she's assassinated in the same spot, essentially where JFK was, the words groupthink come out of her head there. And so take a look over here and notice it's a very interesting phrase. The G and T give us 72 or 27, depending on how you break it down there. But both words are also 5 letters, so another double 5 hidden. But see here as well that Jewish value 564 is the same as Sasha Fierce and Mike Will. Alright, they're same English value, but very important that that comes up. Remember, Sasha Fierce being Beyonce's alter ego, and again Mike Will being the producer for Formation. Now take a look there again, since he's pulled up here for Mike Will, his Jewish value of 1003, dropping those 2 zeros, the death card, all of the things we've talked about with these various tarot I was looking at this down here, tarot cards in relation to this coding here. Now look at the 564 Jewish value. You have reference to Don Trump, tarot gematria, the number 9. Again, you can see up there the reduction from groupthink letters, as well as sacred ground, and again thinking of where she was just assassinated on all of this. Down below you see the fear hoax. Now look at the English and simple values for groupthink. They're the same as Dallas Love Field. Remember, that is where Kennedy was heading from when he was assassinated, as well as Casablanca Records, who put out Kiss's Love Gun, and Judas Be My Guide. Again, those lyrics from that song. And now again down below there, that reference to Freemasonry, as well as punishment, I am the Dark Lord, and baptism of fire. Okay, so now I want you to see again, just go ahead and pause and look through the next couple ones here. Window seat re-examination is this video in reverse, and so it's very interesting what comes up with that. You do have reference to the number of the Antichrist, as well as Ancient Order of Bavarian Seers, and down below here, rising of the Holy Phoenix after beginning of apocalypse event. Alright, and so again, divine earthquake in California, all of those interesting things for window seat remix. I do want you to notice is the same English and simple values as the sweetest taboo. Again, remember that is Sade's essentially trademark song, and I looked into the video in the video on her, and so there you have all the coding for that there. But very interesting, of course, Satan worshipper coming up, as well as the year of the rapture. Remember in that video at the end she writes Tamor on the window, which is fear when you translate it. And so all of the things that we discussed with that. But so now jumping back here though, so window seat remix, very interesting because it has the same English values as Mercedes-Benz Superdome and We Are 138. Okay, and so remember, Mercedes-Benz Superdome is where Beyonce will be playing her New Orleans show, and so very interesting connections that I discussed briefly about that. Remember, she recently added 7 dates to this World Formation Tour, and again, the paramount importance of the number 7 I've outlined throughout all of these videos, so of course no coincidence that that is the number that she chose for that, and I think I might have these days pulled up for you very quickly here for the Formation World Tour, because the new end date for it is now going to be October 2nd. It looks like it doesn't want to pull up for me there, but you can see here for October 7th, it's day number 276, and so very interesting because I know if I invert that number, I get these references to Rick Ross, who is the featured rapper in this window seat remix. And so what I want you to see for this, and why I have the Teflon Dawn pulled up for all of that, and again, this is just more shots from in that window seat video. You see they make sure to get this X and what looks like I underneath it there. Again, that could be a reference to the 69, which would give us 15, the devil card. Remember, then reducing down 1 and 5 is 6, the lovers or brothers card. And at the end of this video, you do have Badu seemingly coming back, some reincarnation, some definite sun worship referencing here again. Very occult tattoo work on her there. A lot of ways you could break that down. But so in any case, for Teflon Dawn and getting to this, you see for Window Seat Remix, this behind the scenes thing. Teflon Dawn is something that they're plugging all throughout the really just bizarre little video there. So I wanted to pull it up for you so that you could see that the Teflon Dawn has the same English and symbol values as Beyonce Lemonade, as well as Sade Bring Me Home, The Brothers, Masturbate Me in a Real Cup of Coffee. Alright, and if you've been watching my videos, then you know the explanation for all of those, and that's crazy that comes up like that. Alright, now take a look here for Rick Ross, obviously the glaring double 9 from the 2 R's there, but take a look as well because both are 4 letters, so that 44 hanging out right in there. His Jewish value, same as the Boondocks and God of all things. Alright, talked about that. Take a look down below, English and simple values. I don't have time to get into this whole French kiss aspect of it and more again on this idea of love, but I want to keep moving here. Take a look at this for what comes up next. So part 2 in these music videos starts off saying days later. Alright, and so of course we want to take a look at that, and we see reference to funding terror, cruel intention, baby sacrifices, as well as Rothschild and Rockefeller paired up together there. Alright, and so the English and simples, same as Teflon Dawn, okay, without the in front of it. So there's that for you. You do see reference to 9/11, Zionism, sudden death, the world, masonry, Cliffoth. Remember the inverted tree of life, the 11 points on that, the importance of 11 having such negative energy in it, and the Cliffoth being said to be forces driving people towards suffering, death, all of that sort of thing. And you also see vitriol. Remember, I discussed this a number of times and read an excerpt from Book of Thoth about how it talks about visiting the interiors of the earth, so be sure to go back and check that out. Now let's keep moving here because there's a few more important points absolutely through all of this. Now notice she's standing in front of this jail release building. Again, now we're in part 2, and below it, pulling up there, you see very clearly the 330 in front of her there. And 330 obviously important for a number of reasons. That is a master Masonic number, but it has come up in a lot of things I've discussed recently. You can see the reduction there from Lisa Respers France, again, who wrote Decoding Beyonce's Lemonade. Look at all of these connections here. Tie it in, take the notes, alright, because it is all very, very interesting. And take a look there, alright, because what I really want you to see is that it is the same English value as Sade Adu as well as Let It Burn, okay? Or excuse me, you can get the 330 when you reduce 556 for Let It Burn, but the actual Usher song that we're discussing, and that is called Burn, which has that 330 on it as well. So stunning, alright, just staggering how this comes up. Again, jail release 1/9, the sun card, okay? You see it's 11 letters, the lust card, okay? And notice when she's hanging out standing here, the lights are out. Alright, that's all done. It's over with. You see for jail release, Master of the Stars, and United States Fallen. So take a look down below for the English and simples. You have reference to Serpent, Egyptian, as well as Tidal Wave, Civil War, Road Accident, and you then see Violent. Remember, we were told to see that above earlier. Now see Secret Code and Alien Attack. Now let's work our way through this video a little more here. Again, they're then driving, and you find out that they're on their way to some sort of heist here. Remember earlier I told you to keep in mind the whole devil lives in the icebox thing that we had in the coding there. So let's pull that up again for you. Remember Universal Motown, the ones putting this out, you have the devil lives inside the ice house. And so in this video you have, when they're pulling up to this mart here, it only shows us the I and C, and so you're wondering, why do I care so much that it's just the I and C? Well, because that is the 9th and 3rd letter, so it's a very cleverly veiled 93 that they're keeping from you right there. Alright, and again, that master thelemic number, and so again, just just moving through this video. Look at this here, C, 33, 33, 66, all right? Any way you want to cut it there. It's very relentless, so they're going somewhere about to heist. You see when they're about to get out here, it makes it a point to pause on this here and look at these stickers. 311, again 33, and 411, again 44. If we were to add those two together, we have 77, which brings us full circle back to the actual cover for this with that 11P. All right, remember that we were discussing, let's see, I'll just pull it up again here for you. We had that there, and then that was also the inverted coding for Erykah Badu to begin with, all right, at the very beginning, that 711. And so all very fascinating how that winds back down in there. But let's keep moving, because you need to see this license plate here. At the very end, this video ends with 2 gunshots, and I don't think I have the to be continued pulled up in here. Which is too bad, because that is how the actual video ends. But I guess I'll get to that in just a moment here. But so if we were to break down this license plate as GB33ZB, which is how it's written out there, you do see that for the Jewish values you have Lord of Defense and Protection, as well as Satanic Lullaby and the Storyline. So now down below, the English and Simple values, you have reference to Pasadena, California. Again, that is where Beyonce is going to be playing the Rose Bowl. You see Dallas Trade Mart, where JFK was heading when he was assassinated. You see David Copperfield, who was mentioned 8 times. Remember that connection of the number 8 to Mercury and Christ, and other very important concepts in the adjustment card. But in any case, him being mentioned 8 times in the bill put forward by Pete Sessions, the guy we talked about earlier, to protect magic as a national treasure. And then you also see God of all things, again the issue of Newsweek that had Obama on the cover with the Shiva arms, all of that going on. Alright, so there on the side for David Copperfield, I want you to be able to see the coding for him, all the ways that that comes down. But take a look here for this English and Simple, the actual values, skull and bones. Alright, we've talked about 322 over and over again throughout this video. You see Holy of Holies, the meaning of life, as well as end of the world, reference to very important numbers including 66, all the things I've shown you on the 997 breakdown. But see as well, you have the Path of Resh, alright, again coming down to that sun card. Alright, and so finish out here, notice, and so unfortunately I don't have that image pulled up, but if you watch the remix, it's absolutely how it ends. It says to be continued, giving us that 223, again something I talked about immensely, because that is the reduction for what's her name, Beyonce. I got sorry, I just got all these crazy things, so just pause and look through here. All these 223s coming up. I could have swore I had the one for Beyonce in here. In any case, but it's Beyonce, Knowles, Carter. Alright, so that's why it wasn't coming up, because I didn't write it out all the way. I just wrote the inverted 322. But so in any case, from her initials there, the reduction is 223 or inverted 322. Again, just uber important that you see that coming up again and again there, and especially in the to be continued veiled. And if we take those letters, again, that 22 times 9, giving us 198. It's a number that's been tremendously connected throughout here as well. Excuse me, as we get through there. Right, so it is also, so yeah, so it's 3 times 66. Again, the values from formation as well as Pasadena. As soon as we can get through here. Alright, there's just so much information. Alright, so there you have it there. And again, that number was important because if we invert it, it's 891, the number of days between JFK's assassination and the founding of the Church of Satan. So again, sorry, look into just all those codes for that there, and you can bring this all the way down if you're curious about Erykah Badu's most recent album or whatever her work that she put out. It's called But You Can't Use My Phone. Again, notice the release date, November 27th. This breaking down, 2 and 7 is 9, the 11th month at 11/9. 99, all of the stuff I've talked about with that. But so just go ahead and pause and look through there because I'm going to wrap this up here. But I do want you to see for the cover of that, it is I guess important to get in here to wrap it in on one final note, because you see "Save the Bees" written down below there, and so "Save the Bees" has the same English and simple values as "formation." Again, the 666, 111, and that really bringing it all the way back. With the connections I want to show you to Beyonce, to JFK, seeing all of that, this video ending with gunshots and the phrase "to be continued," and right, what all of that means. So for "to be continued," you do see the Jewish value here is dead Kennedys, blood and thunder, blood and bullets, as well as the seal of Lucifer, and the English and simple values here. You get 888 as well as 94 if we add and reduce. 13, the death card, as well as the demonic, elite, and sublime new era. Alright, sorry I got a little mixed up towards the end there. Again, this is an immense amount of information, and the scope is just absolutely tremendous. Alright, so very fascinating video. Let me know what you think. Again, don't say this is absolutely certain who's going to go when, but this is very compelling evidence, and again, linking it all in with these concepts I've been covering with the JFK assassination, Beyonce, so on and so forth. So that's all these famous women now who have, I mean, again, it's a very common theme. These elements of death are just more and more frequent, but from these very high-profile women, and what it all has to do with what could possibly be going on next. All right, so again, thank you so very much for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate everybody who has subscribed lately here. I'm pretty happy to see how quickly we're starting to reach people. So that's the real purpose here: talk, engage, all of that good stuff. And as always, please be well.